Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. My name is Sven Goldstein. I'm product manager for our TwinCAT automation software and responsible for connectivity. In this video tutorial, I would like to show you how to get started with our TwinCAT OPC UA gateway. For this video tutorial, I have prepared a virtual machine where I have the gateway pre-installed. So the gateway installs itself as a background service, which means it automatically starts with the operating system and you can configure it via a small icon here on the Windows system tray. So if you right-click this icon, you can start the administration user interface of the gateway, and you will find plenty of properties, either for the OPC UA interface of the gateway or the OPC COM-DA interface. So really important here for now is only this tab here for the configured OPC UA servers, because on the underlying system, we always have a TwinCAT OPC UA server running, which means the gateway connects to the TwinCAT OPC UA server as a data source. So this TwinCAT OPC UA server entry here is automatically pre-configured, let's say. And the only thing that you need to make sure is that the username password combination that you see here equals the username password combination that the TwinCAT OPC UA server has been initialized with. So we have a separate video tutorial that explains how to do so. So it's not complicated. Just watch the tutorial. You can also find documentation on the back of information system about the server initialization, and just make sure that the username password combination that you see here equals the username password combination of the OPC UA server. So in this case, this is fine. I have pre-configured this, so that should be fine. And of course, you can add more TwinCAT OPC UA server connections here using the plus button here. You can make changes to existing configurations, or you can remove TwinCAT OPC UA servers from the server list. So now we want to connect two clients to the gateway. So the first client is an OPC UA client that connects to the OPC UA server interface of the gateway. And the second client is a legacy OPC COM-DA client that we will connect to the gateway using the old OPC standard OPC COM-DA. So let's start with the OPC UA client. As an OPC UA client, I would like to use the sample client that is also part of the TF6100 product portfolio. So you can find it on the Windows Start menu. So there's a folder called Backoff, and within that folder, you will find the TF6100 OPC UA sample client. So let's start the sample client, and you can use the sample client to connect to the gateway. So all you need to do here is you can leave the server URL as it is. You only need to change the port. So the default port of the gateway is not 4840, it's 48050. So we click on Get Endpoints to retrieve the endpoint list. We select the first endpoint that is returned here in this drop-down list, and we click on Connect. So here in this dialog box, we select the identity token, so the anonymous user. So the gateway is not pre-configured with the user account, but of course you can configure that using the user interface that we have just seen. And I select the anonymous user here, click on OK. And I get an error message. And the error message says, failed to connect to OPC UA server, bad security checks failed, which means that the UA gateway is not trusting the client certificate of my sample client application yet. So I switch back to the UA gateway configurator. And on the certificates tab within this user interface, I can already see that there is an entry of a certificate that is not trusted yet. And that's exactly my OPC UA sample client certificate. So all I need to do now is I right-click this entry here and I select Trust. And from this point on, the UA gateway trusts the certificate of the OPC UA sample client. So I can close this dialog now. And I try to reconnect to the gateway. So I click on the Connect button again. I select my anonymous user, click on OK, and now the connection works. So now I can navigate through the address space of the UA gateway, and I will find one server entry, which is exactly the pre-configured TwinCAT OPC UA server connection here. and I can now navigate through this address space of that server, and I see that this server offers a PSC variable, a counter variable, and I can double click it in order to see its value. So now I'm connected to the gateway using OPC UA, and in the gateway itself connects to the underlying TwinCAT OPC UA server in order as a data source, let's say. Okay, that's great. So now we want to use OPC COM DA for the connection. So I disconnect my sample client, I can close it. And as an OPC COM DA client, I would like to use the software OPC Explorer from the company Matricon. So after installation, you can find a link to that software on the Windows Start menu. So you can find a folder called Matricon OPC. And this folder contains the Matricon OPC Explorer, which we want to start now. On the left-hand side of the Matricon OPC Explorer, you will find all the locally running proc IDs for an OPC COM DA connection. In our case, it's a proc ID for the UA gateway. So I can select this proc ID here and I click on the connect button. So this opens a connection to the UA gateway. And by clicking on the add tags button, I can now select variables that I want to read. So again, I have a small namespace browser here, so I can browse through the namespace of the OPC UA gateway. I will find my TC OPC UA server entry here. And within this namespace, I can also find my counter variable. By double clicking this variable, I can read its value. And now I have an OPC COM DA connection to the gateway. So the gateway, you can say it comes in two flavors, right? So the first one is the server aggregation use case, where you want to aggregate multiple TwinCAT OPC UA servers and maybe want to make them available through one OPC UA port, maybe through a firewall or a NAT gateway or something. And the second use case is just if you want to use the gateway to have a free of charge OPC COM DA interface. So both use cases are possible. Both are also possible in parallel. Yeah, so that was it. That was our getting started for the TwinCAT OPC UA gateway. Thank you very much for watching and see you around. Thank you.